Welcome back, everybody, to the From the Bench podcast. I'm Eric, and we have my co-host Trevor with me,
Hey guys.
and we're going to be reviewing the first round of the draft. So, Trevor and I, as we had said before, we're watching it from home. Trevor's stream was actually about 20
Sick.
seconds, about 20 seconds ahead of mine, but we watched it together on Zoom. So when it came to the Chargers pick, I was like, Trevor, sorry, I can hear
He
they're about to
muted
pick
he
it.
muted me,
I
people. Can you
took the
imagine?
headphones off, didn't pay attention to the screen to see what he was doing, if he was cheering or laughing at me, and we'll get to that. But had our friend Cody that was on last episode. He joined us too on Zoom. I had another friend of mine that jumped on for a bit, and yeah, like I said, it was pretty good draft, pretty good night. Like I said, obviously it would be better if we could have been hanging out together watching it as we have in years past. But like I said, better than nothing. I think that's what Cody and I were texting after the draft, and it's better than nothing, right? At least we kind of got to shoot the shit about it. So
Shout out to the NFL
we
too. Like
also
that
we
draft was
also
pretty
went down
sweet.
and we had a list, and we had our mock draft, so we stuck with those for the top 10. And after that, when the pick came up, we all would guess about who was going where. More often than not, we were wrong. That will happen. So, anyways, so we'll get started. First pick, you know, not a surprise to anybody. Joe Burrow, sorry, out of LSU, quarterback. Became the first quarterback to come first overall for the Bengals since Carson Palmer, I believe. And yeah, gonna turn that franchise around. What do you think about that?
Well, that was the worst kept secret. We all knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Good on them though. That's great for that organization. He tweeted out, "Let's enough talk. Let's go to work there today." I thought that was kind of cool.
Yep.
So you can tell he's serious. So if you're a Bengals fan, man, you got lots of hope. He's got a lot of good play toys down there. So I'm
Yeah.
looking
Well,
forward to seeing him in the big league.
it's they're a different situation, right? Like they were missing AJ Green for most of last year. You know what I mean?
That's kind of a blessing too, because well, by that I mean Tyler Boyd really came out of his shadow, like
Mhm.
stepped up and became, I wouldn't say a true number one, but became,
Became a good player, like
oh yeah,
you
like he
know
definitely took that step up there, right? Like because they needed him to.
yeah.
And then
So
we saw a
John
little bit of flash from John. Yeah, exactly. That's
from
where I was
Ross.
going. Ross. Yep. So it was nice to see him contribute. He's been battling the injury bug here since he's been in the NFL. So I still really like him though. What I saw a little bit of him last year when he was healthy,
Yeah.
he had some flashes. Hopefully, he can take that next step.
Yeah. No, I said I think right off the bat they get obviously a quarterback in Joe Burrow, who had one of the greatest statistic seasons of all time when it comes to a quarterback for college. And you get your first round pick last year. I brought up before, the tackle. He missed all of last year. You get him back, get AJ Green back. So right off the bat, you get three really good players for this coming season. So wait to see. Moving on to number two. Also, probably the worst kept secret. Apparently, people were blowing up their phones trying to get this pick to move up or maybe to take Chase Young. But the Washington Redskins, they go defense. They take Chase Young out of Ohio State, the edge rusher. So it's the guy's dominant. If you look at a lot of pass rushing efficiencies and stuff like that, I said he's good. Anybody's wondering, we did that episode with him. Even on our YouTube channel, on even our IGTV, we did a lot of highlights for all of these guys. If you guys want to go back and kind of see what we thought about them before the draft, but yeah, Chase Young going to the Redskins. So, what do you think about that? That was, I said pretty obvious,
That was
right?
the best pick they've made in a long time. They did the right thing here and stayed here and made the pick. You can't go wrong. They got a bunch of first round talent on that line, and that's who we talked about before. That's how you build a successful franchise. Defensive line, offensive line, and they got the best player in the draft at number 2. So you got to be happy, right?
You
That's what I think.
can't argue that.
Exactly.
Number three, the Lions. They stay put too. They grab Jeff Okuda, this cornerback out of Ohio State. So, Ohio State went, 2-3. And it's actually kind of funny. Joe Burrow was with them in Ohio State in 2018, I believe, or 2017.
17, yep.
So it's funny, three guys that were all there at one point. they all, 1, 2, 3 off the board. Same thing, Lions,
Good draft class, or good
Yep.
recruiting class, sorry.
and he fits a lot of more what Matt Patricia wants to do. More than Slay probably did. Some people say, you traded
He's willing
Slay.
to put in the work, right? He's got that good attitude. Look, they're trying to change that culture around, and some of the guys are resisting it. So good on them. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
We both know that all our listeners, our faithful listeners, that I love Jeff Okudah. So I really was happy they took this guy. Maybe they could have traded down, but you know what? If that's the guy you want and everything didn't sound,
if it wasn't
you're worried
there,
about not getting him, exactly. Take him, and I love it.
Yep. So number 4, the New York Giants take a tackle. So in our mock drafts, we had Wills and Wirfs essentially was the 2 guys that everyone was hearing a lot about. And a lot of it was because of the way I thought about it too was, you have Nate Solder that they got a couple years ago from the Patriots. He's on the left side. These guys are both right side, right tackles. Throw them over there. Don't worry about it. They decided to go with my favorite defensive tackle from the draft, which is Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. And so still at the end of the day, shoring up that line, right? Giving Daniel Jones some more time to throw, giving Barkley,
You're talking about essential, like a guy who could be on their team for 10, 12 years, a cornerstone piece. I know it's not a flashy, exciting piece, people, but I read this morning, I thought it was interesting that they really liked him because he started every game he was there in his career. So I think it was 24 starts. So he's durable, and they just felt like it was a safe pick. You got to love it. Like, you know what I mean? And there, maybe there was a couple more, little more talented guys who can tell. We'll know over the span of the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Who was, you know what I mean? Like, but he's going to be a good player. Period.
Well, a lot of tackles don't come in and don't make a big impact right away, just because there is a lot of change, right? There's just different,
faster league.
Yeah, it's a faster league. A lot less under center, a lot of guys, a lot less movements, a lot less, O lines moving around, everything else. Like it's just a different game. Yeah, so but I said I think to me he was the best tackle in the draft.
We both liked him. Yeah, we both liked him a lot.
I said I had Wills going there in mine. You had Wirf, so I said both of us made sense. At the end of the day, they stayed put. They did the smart thing. And I seen some people talking about Derek Brown, whatever. We'll get into that later, but no, they stuck with it. Went with the offensive tackle. So number 5, our buddy Cody and the Miami Dolphins. They grab Tua out of Alabama, the quarterback. This guy's had so many things said about him when it comes to health wise. All the things that have happened over the last couple weeks and couple months and stuff, and over last season with the dislocated hip. But they said, look, screw it. We don't care. We're taking our franchise guy. This guy was so good and so electric. And yes, it's in Alabama. And yes, they have all this, they have a great system there. And yes, the whole team as a whole is amazing. Doesn't matter. We're taking Tua. He's just that good. So,
and I really like, we've discussed, like, I kind of like Brian Florence, like what he's done. He comes from New England. So I'm very interested to see what he does with this young player. Hopefully he doesn't play right away. Hopefully, like, at least he gets 10 games a set.
Yeah,
but we'll see. You know how I feel about that. Everybody.
That's why we feel about a lot of stuff.
But like, I'm gonna say this about his injuries. The hip's a big deal, but who gives a shit about his ankles and stuff? If you're a football player, you're gonna go through stuff like that.
Ankle sprain.
They're blowing it up.
Yeah,
blowing it
up.
I
said, the hip is the only one I'd be worried about.
Exactly. Like that's legit, but
Yeah, because you heard a couple. It was a tight end. He was an old Baltimore tight end, but he came out and said, "Look,
Todd Heap."
Was
Todd Heap that ended up ruining his career?
No, it was somebody else. But anyways, essentially he came out and said, look, like I had that same injury. It's more the blood flow. Like you want to make sure, like it's a lack of blood flow. I know
what you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
And anyway, so it's just, but you know what? It's a reach, right? A lot of these quarterbacks aren't going to be good, right? Like you look, back just a couple years ago, 5 years ago, Jameis Winston was taking number 1 and Mariota was taking number 2. Those guys aren't with those teams anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so
it's like Cody and like we all agreed on the last podcast. You have like a 5-year window to really make step up. Like,
Yeah, see
for
if he
an
does it.
audition, really?
If he doesn't make it, he doesn't make it. You know, move on, draft another guy, right? So,
And a big and people wonder about that. Why is that? Because a lot of times, if your team's not that good or you're struggling a lot in those 5 years, your coach is gone.
yeah,
So it's a new regime, and you're
exactly.
boot,
A
shut the door.
lot of them don't have that that chance, right? So
exactly.
number 6, my LA Chargers took Mr. Justin Herbert out of Oregon.
His initial reaction wasn't good. People, he handled it better than I thought, but he wasn't happy.
I'm
He
trying
pretty much said nothing the rest of the night.
to be good. I'm trying to look on the up and up. So I actually went back because I said
Get over it.
we covered a lot of these guys, and I was like, what did I know I said some stuff about them, obviously, when we did the, player spotlight. What did I say? I just want to go back and check. And I still stick by a lot of the stuff I said. I think he's not a bad prospect. And I think at the end of the first round, like on the 20, even in the mid round, I think he's a good pick. Just out of the potential. My issue is where we took him at number 6. I think you take Jedrick Wills, or he's still on the board there. I think you take Jedrick Wills. I think you take him off the board, and I think it's a totally different game. I think you can then trade up to, say, 16, where the Falcons were, where they kind of stuck there, went with Terrell. I think you could have traded up with them, given them your second, your third, and like a 5th or 6th or something like that. Giving them something and then trade up, and I think that's the value is more there. You at least got a better tackle prospect. Obviously I'm going to talk about this for more than 2 seconds because it's my Chargers.
Oh yeah.
But I had some people say, well, we didn't need line help. We went out and got Bulaga. We traded for Trey Turner, and we got Storm, who is a offensive tackle that was the highest rated offensive tackle in the XFL this past year.
Can I chime in right there
Yep.
with that after that?
Yep.
Yes, you did all that, people, but let's be realistic. And this is coming from third party, like Eric. That's Eric's team. But they're all older. Some of the guys have battled injuries. Some of them are names though. Like I love how they brought in the guard from the Panthers. We both discussed that.
Yeah.
But Bulaga, I like Bulaga a lot, but he's long in the tooth. He still gets it done. Don't get me wrong, but is he going to last the 16 games? Like we've talked about this. So I'm going to back up Eric a little bit here. Like so. He can justify getting the tackle. Like that's
Yeah.
You never have enough good or elite offensive line.
No, and anything can happen, right? Injuries happen all the time, and
Exactly.
it's always hard to find another tackle or guard that can come in off the street can give you even competency, right? Like just a basic presence. My whole thought process on it is Brian Bulaga is old. I like him. I think he's a good right tackle, and he is way better than anybody we had last year, by 100%. Trey Turner, he's a good right guard. He said he's still younger. I think he's only 27, 28, so I think he's still younger. But he's one piece. We needed lots of pieces.
Exactly.
We had a really terrible. And then you get an XFL, the best XFL tackle. Great, awesome. The issue with that is he was an undrafted free agent in 2017, and we are now his 4th NFL team. He's been on the Falcons and the Vikings and somebody else, maybe the Seahawks or somebody, before going to the XFL and now going to us. Is that somebody you want to really, hitch your ship to?
On?
Yeah, is that really somebody you want to take you want to trust as being the guy? Now, I think if they had waited and traded their 3rd round pick for Trent Williams, I think that maybe makes a little more sense at that point. If you didn't want to do this, obviously we took Herbert, but and like I said, I don't mind Herbert. I like him as a prospect. It's just a value thing for me, and that's what a lot of this comes down to. Is a lot of these guys they're NFL prospects for a reason, right? But you're not going to take It's not reaching, right? Is Mitch Trubisky, was he a terrible prospect? No, he was going to be a 1st round prospect. Daniel Jones.
My opinion, he wasn't, but that's just me.
But Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, lots of these guys are NFL players. they're all out there, but it's all
Josh
value,
Allen
right?
had all kinds of potential, yeah, for sure. But he was a reach. Like if he was a first round talent, he should have been
Yeah.
kind of mid of the middle.
But like I said, a lot of
round.
these guys reach, and that's part of the quarterback game, right? There's only so many out there, and
Well, you
sometimes
think he's going to be the next Tom Brady, the next Peyton Manning, the next Breeze, the guy who's going to take you to multiple championship games. So
Yeah,
that,
and-
that
and
explains it.
we've talked about this all the time, but
Madness.
like you and I have had we've been very lucky, right? Essentially, yeah, we were both in high school when our starting quarterbacks were drafted by our teams, right? Which is crazy to think. Like we were in.
It was before then for me, actually. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
there you go. Like like we were so young, and now we've had almost 20 years. For you, I think it is 20 years, and for me,
Being spoiled,
it's
really.
17.
Let's be honest. Being
Yeah,
spoiled.
exactly. Of good quarterback play. These guys are both top 10 in every statistical career category when it comes to touchdowns, yards, completions, everything. It's Brady's there, and Rivers is like 6th, 7th, for most of these things, right? So
My team, New England's only not made the playoffs for me, since twice. Once Tom Brady tore his ACL, and this year after he made his debut for them and won the big game, they went 9-7 the previous year and just missed out on the playoffs.
Yeah, so it's crazy to think that we've been this lucky.
Funny.
And now it's just kind of funny that we're dealing with it on the same. But like I said, wasn't trying to stick on them, but like I said, I don't mind Herbert. I said it's just a value thing. I think at 6, I think it was a reach for this value because
I will say though, I think I do like the fit. Like I think his college system is a lot like, by that I mean like throwing the deep ball, like play action. The Chargers like to stretch the field, which I like that for him. But I do agree with the analysts what they said last night that he might have to get the ball out just a hair quicker.
Well, I was watching JT O'Sullivan. I don't remember him. He was a quarterback, but he was like, I was watching. It was against North. I can't remember where, against somebody, and he would do this, like he'd catch it and he'd do like a little ball flip, like he'd flip the ball head over, like around, and like to set himself like every time. And if he didn't have that chance to set himself, it was a quick pass. A lot of times he would miss, even though it seemed like he had the laces and stuff. So, and he misses wide open guys sometimes, right? Like you can't do that in the NFL. But you hope
Unless
that
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton overthrows him by about 12 yards, but
Cam Newton doesn't have a team right now, which I love.
he does not. So it is what it is. Like I said, I like Herbert. I'm trying to be optimistic. It's just tired. So number 7, we had the Carolina Panthers, and I think we all liked
I was
Simmons.
shocked there.
We liked Isaiah Simmons a lot, and they took Derek Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. So my issue with that, and I'll get into this later, but I think there's different people you look at paying, right? So a first round draft talent, if you're taking somebody in the first round, you want to grab these guys that they're a good value, right? Offensive tackle, when they get paid, they're worth a lot of money, right? And they're hard to find if they're good. Quarterbacks, obviously, if you get a quarterback on a rookie contract, that's the best value you can
got
have.
Everything else, you're killing it.
That's the best value you can have and everything, right?
Big window there to make a run at it.
Whether he's a first rounder or if he's a if you get somebody in the 4th or 5th or something like that, like, and they're on a super under $1 million, like for 3 years or 4 years, like you're laughing, right? But instead they go with like a run stuffing defensive tackle, which doesn't really fit what the new NFL is. It's a lot of passing, right? Like, most teams are passing 70% of the time, right? Like it's a big difference between passing and running. End of games, if you're trying to stop the other team from scoring, chances are that guy's not, out there, because that's not what he does, right? He's not going to stop that 2-minute drive at the end of the game.
I don't know. I think that's where we disagree a little bit. Like I think he's a better interior pass rusher than you give him credit for, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah,
we're gonna go to the dance here.
And I think
he's in the dance now. The show.
I think he's got the lowest floor out of everybody. I think no matter what, he's going to be a good player, no matter what. So that's
Definitely
that.
a safe pick if that's what
Yeah.
you're implying. Yeah.
So that's what I'm implying. So next pick, we went on to the Arizona Cardinals. They sprinted up to the podium to hand in their card. Essentially, obviously no podium, but they grabbed Isaiah Simmons out of Iowa or out of Clemson, the linebacker. You know, like I said, that's who a lot of people saw Carolina taking. You know, rangy linebacker,
I
flies
was
around.
quite shocked, but good for them.
Yeah, the only thing you could have saw was them grabbing
They
Wills
showed,
or
last
Worth.
night they showed. Remember they showed that statistic where he lined up at both safety spots, corner, both linebacker spots, defensive end. It was unreal. Like that's probably the first time I've ever seen that. And it was not just one snap, people, or 10. I mean, like triple digits in some spots.
He can play.
Unreal.
He can play safety. Like I said, a lot of people compare him to, you know, my guy Derwin James. You know, you can line him up at linebacker. You can line him up at safety. You know, like when we played against the Ravens 2 years ago in the playoffs, we totally screwed them because they had so much speed, right? Especially in the run game, everything else. We had Derwin James and Adrian Phillips and all these guys playing linebacker that are, you know, just big safeties. But that's what you needed to have for speed to stop Lamar Jackson when he tries to get on the outside, right? Running. You can't, you know, most linebackers can't keep up with Lamar Jackson, and it's because he's a ridiculous athlete. So yeah, Isaiah Simmons went to the Cardinals. I think it's a good pick. The only person you could see them taking otherwise is an offensive tackle to try to help out
They
their
could
quarterback.
use the offensive lineman big time, but you know,
I think they just went best player
on the
available.
board. Right? Exactly. Yeah, we both agree there.
So then you had Jacksonville, and now a lot of people kind of thought these guys would be trading back. I think we all had that in our mocks. We had Atlanta trading up for a lot of it because a lot of people thought they liked C.J. Henderson.
I couldn't believe Atlanta couldn't get up. Like I really thought they'd come up. I was one of those people.
And maybe the value just wasn't there. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, you almost think they would have traded back, but instead,
maybe the Jags just really liked the guy they got.
So they traded for they drafted C.J. Henderson with the 9th pick. Some people see him as a little bit of a project that he has to, you know, that he will be a good NFL corner, but it might take him a year or, you know, 2, which to be honest is good for the Jags because I think the Jags are going to try to really suck this year. And, you know, if they get a project, that's good for them, right? You know, a guy that has a high ceiling.
So many guys, right?
Yeah, exactly. A guy that has a high ceiling that could be good, that can be good in 2 or 3 years, you know, or after, you know, in the second year or third year. I think that's what they'd rather see. So number 10, the Cleveland Browns, once again, sprint up to the podium and hand in the card for Jedrick Wills. He played right tackle for Alabama, but he, you know, I even said in our other thing in our profiles, I can see this guy, you know, easily going and playing on the left side. He's an athlete. He's so athletic. He's so good, and he has all the potential in the world. You know, line him up on the left side for a long time and protect Baker Mayfield and help out Nick Chubb.
I really like this pick for them. I was happy they took the lineman. That was smart. You know, it's a new regime. I'm excited for them. You know, like I think that was a great pick. It's a safe pick. He's got more upside than people give him credit for. Like we just said, he's like a hell of an athlete. Moves his feet well for a big man. Yep. He's really good in the run. He's good in pass coverage. So like I'm really looking forward to seeing this guy line up for them. And
yeah, I had
Conklin?
Jack Conklin on the right side. Yeah.
So Jack Conklin.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Like they've upgraded their line quite a bit, and who knows if they're done? They could get an interior piece a little bit later on here. Just to beef her up a little bit more competition.
There's still some good offensive linemen out there, right? So
Cleveland, good job.
Good job. Hats off. Like I said, I had Andrew Thomas and him kind of like a 1A, 1B type of guys. Both of them are my 2 favorite linemen for sure. So the next pick went to the New York Jets. Some people are, you know, yelling for them to grab, Judy or Ruggs or Lamb since they were all sitting there on the board still.
I was super pumped they took who they took.
Instead, they take Mekhi Becton, the monster. Also, his father is I'm assuming is his father or uncle or something, is an absolute unit.
Man, like he's bigger than my fridge.
Man, that guy
I
was.
shit you not, he's wider than my fridge.
He
They
came
make
on,
that
and
big.
Trevor's, like I said, Trevor's feed was about 20 minutes ahead of, or 20 minutes, 20 seconds ahead of mine. And all you hear is Trevor goes, "Holy, look!" So I was like, "What am I like? Yeah, Mekhi Becton's big, and then no, it's not even Mekhi Becton. It's like his father or somebody. And this guy is even bigger.
Really
he's just,
mammoth.
oh my god, he's huge. So it was just kind of funny to see. But next, but I think good pick. You know, protect your quarterback. You know,
Great
help
pick, I
out,
think, personally.
help out. You know,
They needed a receiver too. They're both big needs, but I think, you know, like we said earlier, he's going to play 10 years or 12 years for you, if not longer.
Yeah.
And he's going to anchor that line. That's the start of them turning that.
And he's got the most.
around.
I think he's got the highest, you know, ceiling out of all these
Oh, for
offensive
sure.
linemen.
He's not even polished yet. Can you imagine this guy?
Yeah.
If he reaches his full potential, unreal.
So then we had the Las Vegas Raiders with their first ever pick as the Las Vegas Raiders, and they go full Raider. You know, they decide they're going to go with Henry Ruggs III, the speedster who ran 4.29 or 4.27, whatever it was, ran fast. You know, typical Raider pick, right? So, you know, some people are sitting there wondering, like, his teammate Jerry Jeudy, who doubled him in every single category,
I was a little shocked.
was there. You don't want.
I really like Ruggs, though. I do like Ruggs.
Yeah.
Like Al Davis, like you said, is smiling in his grave.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's the only thing I find really weird about it is that I think this is, if nobody didn't know already, I think this is like, look, Derek Carr is not our quarterback of the future, because Derek Carr doesn't throw past 5 yards, and you got a guy that, and maybe this is going to be more catch and run and, you know, yak and stuff like that, not really deep ball throws, but I think this is, look, Derek Carr is not our. Not our,
how that goes.
Exactly. I don't think I think it is what it is. Next pick, we had the New England Patriots trading up to number 12. They've traded up one spot. I think they were kind of worried that.
You mean the Bucks?
Or the Bucks. Yeah.
New England traded down, huh? It's not
yeah. Sorry.
It's all right.
Look, that's.
I thought you were fracking with me. I was waiting for you to.
Sorry, what's some people saying there? They're calling it Tampa Bay instead of Tampa Bay now.
TB12. That's TB.
TB12. So, yeah. So they trade up. Tampa grabs Tristan Wirf, who I think is more of a. I feel like
him as a guard.
I like him as a guard or a right tackle.
I think he can play tackle.
But
as long as he's on the right side.
Yeah, I was talking to a Bucks fan that I know last night during it, and he said, I think he's going to go to the left side, and I said, I don't think I'd want him on my left side.
Not right away, personally.
Not right away. He says, no, I think they like who they got at guard, and I think they like who they got at right tackle. So anyways, we'll see how it goes. But they grabbed the best offensive tackle, trying to give Tommy all the protection he can get, right? So, which makes, you know, once again, all the sense in the world. San Fran traded back that one spot. So that was the pick that they had got from Indianapolis when they traded Buckner over there. They just replaced Buckner, and they grabbed Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle out of South Carolina. The guy is a unit, 6'6" with a lot of power, a lot of range. Like, this guy is long. He's athletic, and you know, he fits into their mold of guys they've taken in the first round over the past.
It was a great pick. Like, they're happy too, because he had all kinds of talent, and he fell down to them. So
and they just got extra picks, right? They knew Tampa's not going to take him. That was probably their guy anyways. You know, they didn't need the offensive line, so they just got extra picks because they're.
And think of the money they just saved themselves.
Yeah. So then we had, you know, we're like, what is happening with these, you know, receivers? You know, how are they all dropping?
None of us saw this happening.
No. The Denver Broncos at number 15. They grab Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama, so they grab Ruggs' teammate.
Judy's still there. It blows my mind.
Yeah, so now you look at that offense, and you have Drew Lock, you have Melvin Gordon, you have Phillip Lindsay, you have Cortland Sutton, you have Jerry Jeudy, and you have Noah Fant. So those guys are all super young. I think Melvin Gordon's 27. The rest of them are all like under 25. So that's pretty impressive. And like I said, not a lot of us thought he was going to be there. So yeah, I said the AFC West just keeps on getting better. Go Chargers. Atlanta. So I think we were talking earlier. I think Atlanta wanted to trade out of this, and I just don't think there's anybody that could give them what they wanted. So they drafted AJ Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. A little bit of reach. I just don't know why. There's still lots of other good guys out there. If that's your guy, that's your guy, right? Maybe that's what it was. But it just seems like it's kind of weird that you'd take that guy at number 16. Like I said, if nobody wants to trade up with you,
there was a lot of like, there wasn't as many trades as normal, like as normally the
no. So like
the Bucks made the first trade.
The Bucks made the first trade,
spot,
yeah,
like which kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah, because some people were talking about there could be 4 trades in the first 10 picks, right? Like between people moving up for quarterbacks and this and that. But they said if people were sitting there, then obviously that's what it was. So then you had the Dallas Cowboys, and they're the same thing.
This is one of my favorites. This is a steal for them.
Sprinting. And they get CeeDee Lamb, the receiver out of Oklahoma. This guy's comp is, DeAndre Hopkins. He's got just the catching radius of this guy is ridiculous.
He's a playmaker.
And I follow a couple guys. I have a friend that's a couple friends that are Cowboys fans, and I follow a guy on YouTube and stuff, and he was doing a live feed, and all these Cowboy fans are just loving it, right? Now you have your
losing
offense,
their shit.
Your offense is Dak at quarterback, Zeke, Tony Pollard, the other backup running back. You then have Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb.
And Gallup really came a long ways last year, man. He looked really good.
Yeah.
Now you're adding CeeDee Lamb in here. I'm really excited. They're gonna torch it.
Yeah.
So I really like it.
So then the Miami Dolphins, they stick with their second pick with that 18th overall pick. And they draft Austin Jackson, offensive tackle at a USC. I know Trevor really likes this guy. He is a project.
He's only 20 years old.
He's super young.
He's far from polished, but all kinds of talent.
So, it's, give them the chance. Some people saw it as a reach. Some people saw him as end of the first round, start of the third round, or start of the second round. Sorry, but
he's your next tier tackle there. So I don't know if you like him, take him. There's a big run on tackles, take him. They did that.
Yeah, I had Jones out of Houston, which I think I wrote his name down 5 times on this sheet of ours as we were going through, and he just didn't get taken. Vegas is up again, and they give you another head scratcher. So they take Damon Arnett, cornerback out of Ohio State. So this guy lined up on the other side of Jeff Okudah. Older guy.
He's a senior, yeah.
He's
24, I think, or close to it.
Yeah, some people thought he was end of the second round pick. Third round pick. A lot of people didn't really see.
He's a competitor. I did some research on him this morning because I'm curious like that. I also went and looked at Miami's. We'll get to that when Miami's got the last pick. But anyway, so I did a little bit of research on him. He's a hell of a competitor, good tackler. There's a lot to like about him, so I can understand why they took him. And he's loved by his teammates. He's just he loves football. So, I think some of that's got to do with the Raiders trying to change that culture.
Yeah.
But like Eric said, the Raider effect or whatever. So it's a little bit of a head scratcher. But you know what? We'll see if it works out for them. Kudo to Murdoch there.
Mayock.
Maybe they're Mayock. Sorry, that's the second time I've done.
You did that last night.
I did that last night. Yeah, that's right. But anyways, I'm excited to see how it works out for them.
Yeah.
So another, just to add to that, another big school guy for them, right? That's what they've been doing since they
like the pedigree, right, of a big school guy. They
winning programs.
Winning programs can handle the pressure. Know what it's like to be in these big areas. So past that, we're gonna go on to the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 20. So the Jags here take another guy who is potential project, edge rusher Chasson out of LSU. So he's a linebacker, edge rusher, whatever you want to kind of use him as. Once again, same as Henderson, he's a guy that's not going to be good right off the bat, right? So, it kind of looks like now they're
Well, he's another guy's got crazy talent, but like you said, he needs to be polished.
yeah. It looks like they're trying to tank.
He calls himself. He even says he can cover, but we'll see. Yeah. That's college. This is NFL.
Yeah, right. So that's where I think they're just trying to, just project guys. They're not going to be good right away, and
potential.
I think they're just going to try to tank for Trevor, right? So try to get the Trevor
crazy
Lawrence.
Athlete.
Number 21 had the Philadelphia Eagles taking Jalen Reagor out of TCU. The receiver. So Eagles fans were, yelling for a receiver. A lot of them like Justin Jefferson. So did I. So did you. But instead they take Jalen Reagor out of TCU, the old Horned Frogs.
I got no problem with that. But
LT behind me, that's where he went.
But we didn't see that one coming. I thought he'd go really towards the end of the second round. Really, I thought he'd go in the third.
Really? So, see, I saw him as
they love his speed. They love his speed. He is a good receiver, but.
Yeah, I saw him going at the end of the first, maybe start second, but maybe a little bit of a reach. But he's got the potential, right? So that's what some of these guys do at this point. They're just taking potential.
Another piece there for my favorite, Carson Wentz, one of my favorite young quarterbacks.
Next pick, Minnesota Vikings. We were wondering, do to take corner? They've obviously lost a lot of corners on defense. What do they do? They also trade away Stephon Diggs and got this pick from the Bills, and they try to replace Stephon Diggs. So this guy has a lot to live up to. So they grab Justin Jefferson, the receiver out of LSU. The guy put up monster numbers this year, out of the slot. So see what they can do with him.
I think we both agree they're shocked that he's there, and they're happy as hell. So, that's a steal for them. So I love it.
Yeah, and I think they got aided in the receivers all slipping a little bit. I think
exactly. But I think if Jefferson's not there, it's a corner here. Can we both agree on that? Do you agree with me there?
Yeah.
So Jefferson's there. I still couldn't believe Jefferson was there, but I still can't believe that how the receivers worked out. Like Lamb went to Dallas. God damn it.
It's crazy. So next pick was the New England Patriots. Wait, no. The LA Chargers traded up, which I'll never quite understand this one. So they trade up, and I'm thinking, okay, now they see here that Jones, the tackle out of Houston, he's still there. That's who they're going to go after. That's who they must be trading up to get. They say, screw it. He's the
Eric's praying. He's praying.
Yeah, well, I'm just like, look, he's he was the 5th to 6th best offensive tackle. You don't want to lose out on him. That's who you're going to want to put at left tackle. No. So they take a guy with a great last name, Kenneth Murray, who is your typical middle linebacker.
Oklahoma speedster.
The speedster. He just looks like he's shot out of a cannon 24/7. Got really good athleticism.
Good
really
from sideline to sideline.
Exactly. Really going to help in that run game, stuff like that. Throwing a couple blitzes here and there. But my issue with it is that we already had a couple decent younger linebackers. So we had Drew Tranquil and a couple guys like that were really stepping up the last year. And then you grab a guy who is another linebacker, except for this guy, when I kind of really dug into it. I looked into it a little bit before, but his coverage grades just aren't good.
They aren't great.
No, he's never had an interception in college. He's actually, I think, hasn't had a single forced fumble in the last 2 years. He's only ever defended 6 passes in his entire career. His percentage.
Being cruel now. You're just being cruel, man.
The completion percentage against him is 85% or close to that. When quarterbacks throw to a receiver or running back or tight end or whatever that he's covering. Not great.
So Eric's saying that he needs to work on his cover skills. That he gets burned a lot.
And to me, I just don't understand why you trade up for that. Patrick Queen, I thought maybe if they're going to go linebacker, maybe they go Patrick Queen, which he was more of a cover linebacker. Nope, they didn't do any of that. Like I said,
that's what I was hoping for at that pick. So I mentioned this before. Go back and listen to our previous podcast. I know Eric's going to back me on this one, but I did mention that New England likes to trade down, and that I said this could be a possibility. And I was kind of hoping for it, but I was hoping they'd stay in the first round, which they did not. But at least they got that second round pick. And I also read that from basically 22 down to basically 38, I believe. They're saying it's basically the same talent, so that's probably why New England did it.
Yeah,
they like to bargain. You know Belichick. He likes to bargain. Picks and stuff and go on. So you just gotta trust in it.
I would do this trade 100 times out of 100 if I'm the New England Patriots.
Apparently New England wasn't sold on anybody right there, and they're thinking they can get the same whoever they wanted lower. So all the
or the same value, or it's just out of value.
I am disappointed because I did like Quinn. I told Eric that I was all right with Murray too. Like Murray's a good linebacker, but like Eric said,
like I said, neither one of these guys. I'm not. So I kind of got onto it like in Facebook groups and stuff like that with other Charger fans. It's not that I hate the picks. I like Justin Herbert. I think we needed a quarterback. I understand. I understand that maybe you don't take him though at number 6. And same as this, I like Murray. I think he's a good linebacker. I just don't think the value is there for either player, which is kind of the unfortunate thing. So moving on, the New Orleans Saints. People are wondering, are they going to grab another receiver? Are they going to grab, Patrick Queen still there on the board? They go defense. Do they go corner? Do they grab, Fulton still there? Johnson still there? Nope. They go with Cesar Ruiz, the best center on the board. He's probably going to kick into guard. And yeah, he's just really good.
And their line is stacked, so they just add to their line. This is the difference between good teams. They don't they don't draft a position of need. They just add to one of their already strengths.
Just grab the best player available.
None of us saw it coming. Me and Eric scratched our heads. We all loved it, and so good on the Saints.
No, we had
they let Love go by them. That's all right,
We had Queen, Mims, and Love is who we had. Is the 3 guys that we had them taking. So neither one of those happened. Next, so the San Francisco 49ers, they had their pick at number 25. They went out and they grab a receiver still.
They traded up too.
Yeah, they traded up. They grab Brandon Ayuk. This was originally the Minnesota Vikings pick. They trade up. They get Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. Good receiver, lots of potential. It's pretty much, just watch what Kyle Shanahan does with this guy.
Come on, Harry. Come on, man. If Ayuk comes in this year and tears it up and you do diddly dee in 2 years, I am going to be, oh, man.
Then another team trades up. The Green Bay Packers trade up to grab quarterback out of Utah State, Jordan Love.
We've got a controversy.
What are you doing? You have no. And I don't understand. Some people are saying, look, Brett Favre, was Aaron Rodgers is now older than Brett Favre ever was when he, when Aaron Rodgers was
Brett Favre was 35 when they drafted Rodgers, and Rodgers is 36 right now.
Yeah.
But who's kidding? Like Rodgers is, if not the best quarterback in the league right now.
The difference, though,
second guy
is that Favre had kind of talked about retiring. What am I going to do?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Is this my last year? Do I got 2 years left? Aaron Rodgers is signed for 4 years and doesn't want to go anywhere. And you grab, he was even on the Pat McAfee show before the draft and said, you know what? We haven't taken a skill player in the first round in 15 years.
Since they drafted me.
Yeah. Essentially, he's like, look, it'd be really nice if they took somebody for me so I can have a weapon that's actually got a high ceiling out of the first round. That'd be really cool. And what do? They go and draft his replacement.
You've got to think they, in the second round, I'm just deviating a little bit here. You got to think they drafted freaking receiver.
But out of these guys, out of these teams that are after him, okay, maybe you're going to say somebody's going to trade up. Or maybe it's Tennessee. Maybe you think Tennessee's going to do it. But you have
the quarterback, you mean?
For the quarterback, yeah. So you have Seattle. Yeah, I guess Tennessee's the only place. But you have Seattle after that.
Seattle's not taking him. You know where I think he was going to go? He's going to drop to the second round, and the Colts were going to take him because they got that high pick.
Yeah, which may be.
But
But then you could
it
just
didn't happen.
But you could just sit there at number 31, which is where you were at before, and not
Yeah, I
move
agree with you.
and still get him. But so that because it was Seattle after him, Baltimore, and then Tennessee. So maybe you think Tennessee takes him as a project behind Tannehill? Maybe, I don't
Who
know.
knows?
So yeah, that's a head scratcher. I don't think everyone was kind of didn't understand it. They said you're one game away from the Super Bowl. Were you that good of a team? Not really. Did you play better than you probably should have? Did you get farther than you should have? Probably. But you still made it one game away from the Super Bowl.
They got some
instead
holes.
instead of trying to help out your quarterback, you draft his heir apparent.
And that was a glaring need. Like, if he didn't hit Adams and Jones couldn't break off a 10-yard run, they couldn't do shit.
That's it. That's their two things.
They were totally shut down the first half in that game.
Yeah, and Geronimo Allison left, and so they have holes. Maybe they plan on fixing it later on. So now Seattle goes, and Patrick Queen's still on the board. And some people say, well, I think they might go linebacker. So you're like, wow, linebacker, here you go. And they take Jordan Brooks out of Texas Tech.
I do like him, but he's definitely a second-round backer.
He's like a late second round
But
guy.
this is me and you. I mentioned it to you last night, but this is what Seattle does. They're almost like New England a little bit. They don't give a shit. They take their guy. They take the guy they want.
The problem is you have Russell Wilson. So, Josh, you got Jones there from Houston. You have all these guys, and you know what? Seattle should, they gotta understand they won a Super Bowl, and I understand they went to another one. But they should be out there almost every year because they have Russell freaking Wilson, and that guy is ridiculous. And he makes that team way better than they ever should be.
Oh, then they should be. He's in the upper echelon. Yeah, I totally agree.
So
that showed last year because they won probably about 4 games they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Maybe even 5.
Maybe, yeah. So Baltimore then is laughing because this is Baltimore, and they're like, ha, 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 you bunch of idiots. Thank you. We're just going to take Patrick Queen, the best
Trevor
linebacker.
shed a tear because he wanted him to go to New England.
The second best linebacker in this draft. We're going to get him at the 4th linebacker taken, and didn't have to trade up, didn't have to move. This is awesome. So yeah, Patrick Queen, linebacker
And he
at
does
LSU.
so much for you. Like, people say, well, why didn't they take a defensive lineman, a defensive end here to help out? Well, people, you can line them up there on the 3rd down, and it's a passing situation, or second down. If it's like 20 yards or 15 yards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can do so much with this kid. People just don't realize.
No, 100%. So
Steal.
then I went to Tennessee. Tennessee Titans grab, once again, we're like, okay, maybe they're taking Jones here. Maybe they're taking this person, that person. Maybe they'll take probably not a receiver. Maybe they take a cornerback, whatever. They grab the first offensive tackle, Andrew Thomas. They grab his, counterpart, Isaiah Wilson, the offensive tackle on the right side for Georgia. Jack Conklin was gone. He's gone. He's over with the Browns now. So they say, look, we're just going to grab the best right tackle that's on the board still. The guy obviously knows how to play right tackle. Some people say, well, left tackle, right tackle, they're interchangeable. They're not really, right? It's completely different. You're going from, if your right leg is your dominant leg or whatever.
It's a lot different.
If you're kicking over to the left or you're kicking over to the right, like that's a big change, right? You're changing, your hand placement. You're changing this. You're changing. It's a big difference. It's not just like, oh, well,
if you're right tackle, you're going to the left every time. If you're on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is a big change. People like, hello.
Yeah, some people just don't understand that. But so now Miami drafted. They have their last pick because they traded back with Green Bay, so Green Bay could go up and get Jordan Love. And
kudos to Miami. That was a good trade.
Yeah, 100%. Get more picks. They're not going to be good, right? So why not get more assets?
And who knows? Maybe they trade for players down later on here tonight or tomorrow.
So
Get a couple picks away.
This is the part of the draft that I absolutely, me and Cody both started crying because Trevor looked at the name on the screen and went, and nothing against Trevor, but Trevor's not the greatest when it comes to names.
Dyslexic as fry.
Yeah. So Trevor starts trying to read this name, and I am just crying because it's the funniest thing in the world. Me and Cody are just
Laugh
like,
it up. Yeah,
stop.
laugh it up.
Just, I know it's terrible, but we're just like, stop, Trevor, stop.
It was great.
So they grab, and here I go. I'm going to try this.
I have no regrets.
Out of Auburn, cornerback Noah Igbinohini. Yeah, that's who I got.
Not a boy, Noah. Not a boy.
So some people are saying, well, why would they draft him? They just signed Byron Jones to this giant contract. They got, Howard that they have at the other cornerback that they just signed. But this guy's going to be a slot corner. I guess a lot of the guys liked him because his slot numbers, like when he was in the slot, he had really good, numbers.
Crazy speed.
It's crazy speed. He's just a really good guy. And screw it. You know what? Like I said, a lot of these teams nowadays, it's a passing league. So if you have these guys,
he's really good in man coverage, and so what's the name of their coach again? There, Brian
Flores.
Yeah, Flores. Like he came from New England, so we do a lot of man. He's not so great in zone, but he's good in press coverage and stuff. So the only thing I didn't like though is you see a lot. He doesn't turn on the long balls. He doesn't seem to turn around looking for the ball.
Yeah.
So and he got away with it. Like a lot of times you see flags on that. So whatever. Kudos to him. He's a good player, and they really like him. So, I like it.
No, like I said, I like it too.
More depth. You can never have enough depth at corner too. Like Eric said, it's a passing league first now. So somebody's, you're gonna have injuries. So I like it.
Yeah, like most of these teams
see it coming.
Most of these teams aren't lining up in base defenses anymore, right? Your typical 4-3 that doesn't happen very much now, right? It's more of a four. Your four defensive linemen, your two linebackers, and then
more
your
of a nickel now.
And
that's your base
exactly
defense.
a nickel. So and then your three corners and two safeties, or 3-3-2, 3-3-3 type of thing. These are the things you're dealing with more often. So throw all your resources there if you can.
And like
right?
you said, there's so many teams now playing the nickel or playing with three safeties on the field, which is unreal.
One of the best things about the Chargers is we have Desmond King, who predominantly plays in the slot, and he's awesome. And that's where we have him, right? That's what we covet. So past this, we have.
It's the last pick, isn't it?
No, this is the Vikings one. So the Vikings trade down, and the Vikings take. I got off my page.
It's Jeff, isn't it? TCU cornerback Jeff God. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It starts with a G.
Gladney.
Gladney, that's Jeff though, right? Isn't it?
I think so.
Or am I wrong?
So Vikings grabbed Gladney, cornerback, and address that need, right? Like some people thought maybe Fulton, maybe Johnson's still there. They go the other way. They grab Gladney.
He's an aggressive corner too.
It's fine, right? Like if that's what you want to go with, it said it fills a need. They got Jefferson with the first pick. They were able to trade down here, get more picks. I think it's a win-win. And
I'm not surprised if they go cornerback early in the second, or what their first pick. Like me and Eric spoke of earlier, they one cornerback. They lost both cornerbacks, starting cornerbacks. Trevathan was a free agent, and they cut Xavier Rhodes. So I wouldn't be surprised they double dip here.
Okay. And then the last pick of the first round, we had Kansas City grabbing a running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of LSU.
I love it. Eric wasn't impressed. Admit it. You weren't impressed.
So
why would they do that? He said to me. Why would they do? They got Williams. Well, Williams isn't a stud, bro. That offense is ridiculous. I love it.
The thing is Andy Reid makes any of these running backs look amazing. How many running backs have gone in there and tore it up, and they put up 100, 150 yards a game and just look awesome? All of them. They don't have a single running back that's ever gone in there and looked bad because it's Andy Reid.
I got a tidbit for you. So I did some reading this morning. You would have been proud of me. Anyways, like I said, so Andy Reid, don't ask me how I got on this. So I'm reading about Edwards-Helaire or whatever he said to his GM about him the night before. So the draft was last night, his first round last night. So that would have been Wednesday night. They had a conversation, and the quote was, he told his general manager that he had Brian Westbrook. Yeah, it was Brian Westbrook. Yeah. Anyways, for a whole bunch of years.
And he said he's better than Brian Westbrook.
Yeah, better than Brian Westbrook. That is a hell of a compliment.
That is a hell of a compliment.
Because he was that offense for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
He was getting the handoff or he was getting the throw to him.
That was 15 years ago when the running back was the dominant player. Now these running backs
One
are
of them, yeah.
so
for sure.
much, you know, like I said, my issue is you're spending a first round talent and a fifth round option essentially on a running back that you're probably not going to, even if he's really good, you're
I think
probably
it's
not
good
going to.
value. You're at 32 here. It's good value.
I know,
He's
but
the best.
but you're not
first
going to.
guy at his position off the board. I like it.
But if he's really, 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 really good, you're probably not going to pay him on that second contract. Because if you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Tyreek
If you're
Hill, you
special,
have
they will.
all these guys. But you look at the only one that really got the big contract and it's worked out so far, and we don't even know if it's worked out, but is Christian McCaffrey. You know, Todd Gurley got the big contract. That hasn't looked good. David Johnson got the big contract. That hasn't looked good. Le'Veon Bell got a big contract. That didn't look good. You know, none of these guys have.
Oh, it's only 1 year. Bell's going to tear it up this year. Have a little faith. They have no offensive line, man. Don't matter how good you are as a running back. They're in the backfield when you get a hand
I understand that, but I just don't think it's a big. I think I would have went cornerback or something else, linebacker, offensive line, something else.
You got to know who you're paying too.
Yeah,
you know, Bell sat out a year. Makes you wonder about how bad he wants to play.
And
football.
that's a lot of these running backs, right? Like Melvin Gordon from my team, he sat out, you know, for the first couple of games last year.
Gurley, they're worried about his knee. They got to give him the ball. Like last year, they didn't give him the ball enough.
No,
like Todd Gurley's one of those guys. He wears you down.
Yeah,
like that's
but
why
it's just
their offense stalled out last year.
The main issue though is and the only redeeming factor is that they're so good that you know they want to add that elite guy and they want to be really good for the next couple of years. You just want a Super Bowl. You want to add one other guy to stay there. Maybe you think that guy's a home run hitter, maybe. But like other than that, like I think if you're just building your team, if you were just the well, you look at the Jaguars.
Totally different in this opinion.
Well, the Jaguars right now with Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, they couldn't give that guy away right now if they wanted to. I think if somebody offered them
I don't know why he wants to leave, man. They're paying you. Stay there.
No, but they want to trade him. But I think if another team, if they said, look, we'll give you Leonard Fournette for a 7th round pick, I think most guys would say no. Because right now
I wouldn't do that. And you know what? Wow. I'll tell you why. He got so much attraction. He carried the ball so much in college.
But you're also paying that guy, right?
Ridiculous.
Like these running backs aren't, you know, Chris McCaffrey is the only one that possibly is worth it because he catches the ball so much. You know, he's essentially your slot receiver at the same time as he is running back.
I don't know. What about the Saints running back?
What did he do last year? What did he do last year?
He did pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't know if I would if it was me. So that's what it is.
So do you think Miami? Do you think Swift does he drop to Miami at 36? I think they switch with you guys or no? So they'd be 38, I think.
Something like that. So my thing with Swift, and I understand.
Does he fall down that far though? Do you think?
I would think so. Like I said, my opinion on running backs, defensive tackles, run stuffing middle linebackers is totally different. You know, tight ends are totally different than a lot of people, right? Like, I think even in the second round, I don't know if I would take him. But that's just me, right? Like, that's not how
there's gonna be a run on.
I just think
definitely gonna be a run on them.
I just think the way
second round.
I think the way the NFL is right now is that it said you look at these teams and you look at Todd Gurley 2 years ago when he got injured. They brought C.J. Anderson out of retirement. The guy was sitting home on his couch, and the guy went and put up 150 yards in back-to-back weeks.
But that team is
clicking. But how much does that matter? If, you know, you had Todd Gurley and he was doing the same.
It mattered this year. Look at them. They couldn't run They didn't give him the ball enough. They couldn't do shit. They couldn't pass the ball because they couldn't run the ball.
But their line wasn't good either, right? So if you had put more money in your line, I think, like I said, it's just little stuff, right? Like that's just my little thing. I think if you throw in random guys, I think or the LA Rams, I think
only certain teams can throw in random guys, though. That's what I'm arguing about.
I don't know. I think
I'm gonna stud back like in New England. We've got a committee, and all of them seem to run pretty good. And I'm for a committee, but I'm saying when you got a stud.
Yeah, but you guys are the poster child for this because you guys haven't had a stud back in 20 years. Exactly.
No, we started it.
But you can grab running back wherever, and you can still, you know, the team is still going to be good because a lot of these guys, as long as if you have a guy that has fresher legs in the fourth quarter, that's good. You don't want to have your guy running 25, 30 times a game because
I think the NFL is actually trending back towards running the ball. To be honest, like I mentioned this before, there's a lot more fullbacks all of a sudden coming you see the last couple of years.
Some,
So,
but I don't know.
and I like it. I like it.
And I like running backs. Don't get me wrong. I just think now the way the game's played, I think it's so much faster, and I think there's so much passing. Even the running backs,
There's
like
definitely a lot of passing, but I'm just saying, look at the 49ers. They almost look like Joe Montana's 49ers. Like, you know what I mean? There's always seems to be a linebacker or fullback in there.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the game they run, right? But like I said, they're also a running back by committee, right? They run whoever out there.
I love it too. They do.
So,
no, you're 100%.
Like I said, and that's where I just don't see the value. I think you can just grab a bunch of like second, third, fourth. These guys are all the same, right? They're all interchangeable.
Swift is a beauty. Draft him, Miami.
I think he will be good, and I think he'll be a good fantasy guy. I just don't think that's.
I just love the thought of him and Howard. Like I think Howard, like he's been dinged up, man. But you don't have like two really good years for Chicago and then fall off the map. Like he's got lots in the tank.
Well, his problem is he can't.
With the Eagles, I don't.
His problem is he can't catch. He's not a receiving back, so a lot of guys don't like that, right? So, who was your favorite pick in the first round?
My favorite pick. How's that Pepsi? It looks good.
It's pretty good.
Kind of wish I had one. Yeah, I should have Mountain Dewed it. My favorite pick? Who do you got? Okay, I'll tell you my favorite pick. I hate to say this, but I was happy they took him. Is Tua.
Oh, you like Tua?
No, that was my favorite steal.
Okay.
That's a steal.
No, and I think the Tua makes sense, right? You go and you say, look, this is the guy, we're taking the chance. We understand there's risk, but the upside of him being really good.
Well, me and you talked about it. They passed up Drew Brees. How the fuck did that work out for them? That was the biggest mistake. They took Dante Culpepper because they were afraid of Brees' shoulder. What's Brees done? He went on to the Super Bowl and won one. That's more than Miami's won in years.
The other thing, though, and I know people bring up the Drew Brees thing all the time. Miami passed on him, blah, blah. Drew Brees, when he was with the Chargers, didn't have crazy numbers. His lowest statistical seasons all came before he joined in the Saints. So he passed for 3,300 yards, 2,100 yards, and 3,159 yards. And then the last year of the Chargers, he threw for 3,600 yards with 24 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
For sure.
His best season at all time was with the Chargers. Was when he threw for 3,159 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The next year he dropped off, but he wasn't that big. 4,000, 5,000 yards.
But like the head coach was Marty Schottenheimer, and they had one of the best players in the league. They gave the ball at 21.
I'm just saying, but people make it sound like this guy was throwing for 5,000 yards. Back when he was with the Chargers.
He was great, though. You could see
that he was good, but like I said,
the last 2 years for sure. But
yeah.
Anyway,
so you like Tua, so that's good. So my favorite pick is probably
I'll take another one after this too.
It's probably the CeeDee Lamb pick for the Cowboys, and I hate the Cowgirls. Not a fan of them. Shout out to Shane because he's probably watching. But I'm not a big fan of them.
They suck, Shane. They suck.
But that's a really good pick. And he fell to them, right? Like, they didn't have to do anything.
That was a steal, bro. Like, I wanted to cry. I'm like, I love this guy so much in college, and he's going to like a team I hate.
So who's your which pick do you hate the most? Which one are you like, why would you ever do that?
I kind of, I hate to say this, but my first reaction to Oakland taking
Ruggs or Arnett?
No, Arnett. I was like, what the, to myself, but whatever, good on them. It's not the worst pick. Who do you got? Let me think on that for a second.
So mine, I said nobody will understand it, but I just don't understand the Jordan Love one. As much as and to be honest, I'm not like, and it's like I said, it sounds terrible as a Chargers fan. I'm trying to get behind the guy, but I'm not a big fan of the Jordan Herbert because even between Jordan Herbert and Jordan Love, or Justin Herbert and Jordan Love, I don't see there being a huge gap, to make a difference. And like I said, because if Jordan Love is overdrafted at 26, you went 20 spots higher for Justin Herbert, who is also overdrafted. So both of those two quarterbacks, I think, and I understand it's quarterbacks, you got to take the chance on having your franchise guy, but that would be the guys I don't like. So.
My other the other pick I really liked, I didn't mention, was actually I'll give you two. I loved, like I told you last night, I loved back that the Jets actually did something smart for once and
Yep.
took Beckman, which I absolutely appreciate. Thank God. Anyways, I hate the Jets, people. I'm a New England fan, but they're horrible. Like the way they're just the last couple of years has just been ridiculous. Anyways, moving on. I really like that Queen or the Queen pick
By
for
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Like I was hoping if
The
New
rich
England
get
stayed at
richer.
23, yeah. If New England stayed at 23, I was hoping they'd grab him. He was one of my favorite guys for them. But yeah, it is what it is. And I don't know. Other than that, and I also like Wilson for. I know people like he's a second round talent, but he was a hell of a mauler, and that is what Tennessee likes to do. They like to run the ball. They got Henry there, so bang bang. And there's a team people aren't talking about, but I wouldn't be surprised if they grab one of these talented running backs because they didn't sign him long term. They also cut Lewis, the former New England Patriot. He's now a Giant, so why not add a stud back or a better back, a young back? So I wouldn't be surprised. What do you think? What do you got, Eric? Any other ones that kind of stick out to you? I know there's a couple because we talked about them last night.
I think the other one I really like Wills to the Browns. I think this is the Browns just making up for last year
Finally,
and what they did, right? Like I said, is Jack Conklin the greatest right tackle in the history of the football? No, but he's a good offensive tackle, right? Like that's a lot of the thing with especially offensive linemen in the NFL. You just want a good player. You don't so much want
They don't have to be a stud. They just got to be like bring your hard hat and your work boots. Blue collar.
Above average for a lineman is really good for linemen in my
Exactly.
book. So like I said, he's a pro. And I think at 10, I think he's a steal. Like I said, I had him going anywhere from 4th to 7th, 8th. I didn't think he'd get past Arizona, but here we are. Like I said, he got dropped down to 10th, so I think that's a good pick. Past that, I don't know. There's not really, I like Worth, like the big 4 or 5 offensive linemen. They all went to good places. But yeah, I think that's the best. I think that's the good picks. Queen's another good one.
I didn't like. I was shocked that Miami took Noah. I'm not even going to try his last name. Cornerback out of Auburn, but
Yeah.
I did some research. I don't mind it. It is what it is. They like him, and that's all that matters. But I don't think it's a reach. Like I think he's probably got a higher grade on him. So whatever.
Yep.
So they liked him, and they got him towards the end of the third last pick in the first round. So there you go. And there was a big run on corners. So you got to appreciate it. They're probably terrified they were going to lose this guy, or maybe they would have took him in this early in the second. But so apparently they liked him that much. They went. I wouldn't call it we'll call it a little bit of a reach, maybe. But if you like a guy, like I've been preaching this, you take the guy.
Yeah.
It's like Seattle does, New England does it. So I love that we traded down, but I wish we would have stayed in the first because I would have liked to have Queen, but that's life.
I'll trade you back from him. You can have Murray. I'll trade you back.
I'm very interested to see what we do today at 37.
Yeah.
I'm very interested.
I'm telling you.
I hate to admit it, but part of me hopes that either McKinney's there from Bama, or I really like the more I look at
The one at LSU.
Wentfield. I like him too. Yeah, that linebacker. But I have a bad feeling that the Bengals are going to take him. And who's the Iowa defensive end? He's still on the board too, and I really liked him too.
AJ Epinesa.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's not flashy, but like if he's going to go in there, he's going to be solid for you, and that's all I care about. I just want a guy who you plug in and play. You know what I mean, Eric?
Yeah. No, I think
That's
there's a couple
important
guys.
for New England this year. Important.
A couple guys I have listed as guys that I'm excited to see where they go today because they kind of fell out of the first round, which I didn't think they would. So you have AJ Epinesa, he's gonna be good. Jones, the tackle out of Houston, which I said I had him going off the
I'm
board
interested too to see where both
at
those guys go.
18
Yeah.
to the Dolphins. I then had him going to the Jags at 20. I then had him going to us at 23, and so on and so forth. But anyway, so you said see where he goes, and then a couple of the receivers, right? Mims from Baylor, he's still out there, and Michael Pittman, he's still out there too. So I said day 2, it's coming right up. It's only a little over 2 hours away.
You know who else is still out there? I'm just looking at the list right now. T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Didn't think he'd fall out of the first. What is it? Moss, the pass rush or defensive end for Penn State. There was a lot of hype there. He didn't go.
Utermatos,
Did the LSU corner go? No, right?
No, Fulton didn't go. Johnson didn't go.
Guy.
So
exactly.
there's lots of good guys. Like, and it was one of those things a lot of people said, like, with the receivers, you know, if they start to fall, a lot of them could fall out of the first round because, and that's, you know, it's great for teams because it's a deep draft, but it also makes it mean, you know, a lot of these guys they're all going to be really good, but they're all within the same area. So you're not going to trade up for this guy. You're not going to draft this guy earlier because there's not a big drop off from those guys to the next, right? So a lot of guys
around the same grade, pretty much.
Yeah, you know what? If you can grab
trades.
If you can grab a guy in the middle of the second round, so wait to see if there's any trades coming up here tonight. But like I said, we're only 2 hours away and should be good. So
in the first round, the only thing that didn't go in the first round, well, besides kicker and punter and all that junk, but there was no safety go in the first round, and there was also. Jesus, I forgot. Oh, tight end. There it is. Yeah. Also, no tight end go. So we'll see what goes on. And I'm really excited for tonight.
Yeah,
I really am. New England's got. I think I was telling Eric earlier, 5 picks. 5, I said.
Like a ton
5
of picks.
4 for sure.
It's.
I think they got 4 third round.
Well, you got 2 from us, so
yeah, exactly.
You got a
second.
You got a second and a third from us, so you got at least that. So yeah, like I said, we'll sign off. Like I said, we're gonna watch again tonight on Zoom. You know, check out to see who goes. So this is what we have.
Thank goodness for Zoom.
It's live sports. It's live sports,
exactly.
Right?
But thank goodness for Zoom because it's the next best thing. It is like you're there. Somewhat.
It gives us something at this point, right?
At least we can talk to each other, be like, "What the hell?" Or
yeah,
really?
What are we doing
sweet.
here?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Or what the hell? You know.
Yeah, like I said, Trevor can see my face when the Chargers take Justin Herbert and see me or
he was
Kenneth Murray. Like I said, Kenneth Murray.
Actually, one more tidbit before we leave, before we sign off. One more tidbit. He was mad about Herbert until they took Murray for the Oklahoma linebacker at 23, and it was priceless because his reaction to Herbert was not even close to as bad as Murray. It was priceless.
I just don't understand
why not Jones?
I understand Jones isn't going to be good for another 2 years, right? He's not going to be good this season, and he probably might.
Sexy, you know.
Exactly, right? He's just going to be your basic guy, right? But that's why I kind of thought. I said, if it was me. And if you want to trade up, if you knew you guys thought like, look, we might trade up, that's when I would have said, and like I said it before, I would have taken Wills at 6 after the Dolphins took Tua, because I think Tua was the number 2 quarterback. I think Herbert drops then. Like I said, you go down through the list, really the only couple places they could have gone are the Jags, which I don't think they take him at 9. I don't think. Why would they?
Because people thought the Jags would take Love too, that he was dropping down.
But the thing with the Jags is that I think they're going to try to suck this year for Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields next year, which is the smart thing to do.
We'll see. It's interesting to see.
It's just taking a high end guy rather than just a guy, which I don't think the Chargers. You know, they pick low this year, but I don't think they're going to be bad enough again this year that they would finish that low. You know, the Raiders. You know, probably not with any of their 2 picks. You know, obviously.
Well, they just signed Mariota too, so I don't see them drafting a quarterback.
No, and I don't see it either. And then, like I said, at number 20, you have.
I could be wrong though.
At number 20, you have the Jags again, and then you go down, you go through all these guys. Like maybe somebody trades up for them. Maybe they do. Don't get me wrong. I've been wrong before, but it just. You know, like I said, if you take Wills at number 6 and then you trade up for Justin Herbert. And like I said, even trade up to number 16 or something, right? Maybe you give up a little more, but it's a bigger return, I think, at the end of the day. Is my only thing. So, anyways, just pray for me, everybody.
Well,
I'm not a praying guy.
If he ends up bringing you guys to the promised land and you win one,
as I said, I'm trying to be optimistic about it. As I said, if he brings in the promised land, I don't really care where he was drafted. As I said, it's just at the current state and time. It's just
if you win the game.
Well, I said I never said I don't like him. I always thought he's a good prospect. It's all just about value, right?
For sure, bro.
That's all it is. So.
I get where you're coming from. Sometimes you got to swing for the fences. That's all
exactly. So, anyways, for Eric and for Trevor, we're going to sign off here, and this has been the round 1 recap. Have a good one, guys.